Hi all, welcome to Code with Kartiki. So today we are going to see concept of virtual environment in Python. So whenever you are working on single project or multiple project, so at that time you have to use concept of virtual environment. So before going to actual topic, we are going to see one analogy here. So in this video, we are going to see the concept of virtual environment, and in next video, we will see how to create a virtual environment in Python. So now for example, here is one example I have taken, real life example I have taken. So for example, there is one lady, her name is P, and she has three kids, P1, P2 and P3. And what she has done, she has sent these three kids to one PG, and this PG is very strange. So this is the host of this PG, and there is only one common storage is there for these kids, right? And this storage is very strange. So what is happening, so whenever P1 is keeping things, so it is allowing to keep P1's things, but when P2 is coming to keep his things, so it is removing P1 things and P2 is now able to keep his things, right? So next what happens, so P3 is trying to keep his things, so then it will remove P2's things, then it will keep P3's things, right? Means at a time only one person's things are allowed to keep in this storage. So this is the strange storage. And what is happening, the issue is whatever the P1 things are there, P2 things are there, P3 things are there, so those are very important for these people for living their life. So if you don't provide these things, so maybe they will die, right? So that is the issue, right? But here is one common storage, right? And these three people want to live also, so then we have to provide their dependencies, means the things on which these P1, P2, P3 are dependent, so those are called dependencies, right? So then what this P is doing, so mother of these three kids, what she has solution, she has provided three different cupboards for this uh, each kid. So for P1 she has provided different, P2 and P3, and which is separate from this global storage or common storage. So what she has done, she has provided cupboard C1 for this P1, C2 for P2 and C3 for P3 now, right? So because of this what happened, so whatever the P1's dependencies are there, so those will kept in the C1, and P2's dependencies are there, those will be residing here in C2 cupboard, and P3's dependencies are residing in this C3's cupboard, and this is isolated cupboard which is separate, that is common, right? So that will be there only, but these people are keeping their things in their separate cupboards. So this is the solution this lady has, right? And whatever these C1 things are there, so those are encapsulated here, means those are not coming out of this C1's cupboard, and C2's things are also will reside in C2's cupboard only. P3's things will remain here in the C3 cupboard only, right? So these are completely isolated from each other, and this global storage or common storage also, right? So this is the same thing happening in your computer whenever you are working on multiple projects, right? So what is happening, so for example here what is this P, so which analogy it is related, so here P is Python programming language, so host is host computer, and so this P1, P2, P3 kids are there, so these are the projects, so project 1, project 2, project 3, and this is the common storage. And what are the dependencies here, so dependencies of these projects are, so dependencies of these projects are modules, packages, then frameworks, right? So these are the dependencies of these projects, and without these dependencies these projects can't work, right? So this is project 1, project 2, so they are having its own dependencies, and without these dependencies they can't live, means they can't get executed, right? So that is the issue. And see, for example, here Django I am using for example, for P1 project. For P1 project, I am using Django 2.2. For P2 project, I am using 3.11, and for P3 project, I am using 4.1. So this Django I am using, right? So this Django framework I am using. So these three are the different projects and I am installing. So I want these three different versions of Django for these three different projects, right? So what is the issue with this global environment? So in this global, so whatever the global storage is there, so at a time only one dependency we can store, right? Means if I install here Django 2.2 for execution of P1, then P1 project will work properly. But when I want to run P2 project and I want Django 3.11, so if I try to install this, so it will remove this and it will get installed, right? So this is happening. And if I try to run P3 and trying to install Django 4.1, then it will uninstall this 3.11. So that is the issue with this common storage. Means at a time only one dependency or one version of that framework can reside. So this is the issue. So that's why we need separate cupboards in programming technology. We can say those are the virtual environments. So what is mean by those virtual environments? So in host computer you are creating tiny environments. So you are creating tiny environments, and in these tiny environments means small computer you are creating, right? So it is very lightweight computer you are creating in this uh, your main computer. So that is called virtual environment, right? So then what you are doing, so for project P1 you are creating separate virtual environment, for project P2 you are creating separate virtual environment, and for project P3 separate virtual environment. So for project 1 I need Django 2.2, so I will install here in this virtual environment, and for project P2 I need 3.11, that will I install here in this virtual environment, and for P3 I need 4.1, that I will install in this virtual environment. So if any other Django version is there, Django 1.1 is installed here, so there will not be any issue. So what is installed in this global environment and in different virtual environment, it doesn't affect any environment. So these are the completely isolated from each other and global environment. So this is the concept of virtual environment. So it is not like that whenever you are working on multiple projects at that time you have to use only virtual environment. No, it is not like that. If you are working on single project also, you have to use virtual environment. So because of virtual environment, what is happening, whatever the dependencies of your project, so that will be confined to one environment. So those these are not polluting global environment. So if you want to do any changes here, any framework you want to change version or anything like that, you have to do here, right? So that's why virtual environment is needed. So what is virtual environment? So tiny environment you are creating for your projects, and whatever the dependencies of these projects are there, so those are installed here in this virtual environment, and these virtual environments are completely isolated from each other and global environment. So isolated means whatever you are installing in this P2 P3, it doesn't matter what is installed in P1. So P1 will run its with own dependencies, P2 will run its with own dependencies, and P3 also run with its own dependencies, right? So those are the dependencies for project 1, and P2 project P2 dependencies will be there, and project P3 dependencies will be here in this virtual environment. So what you have to do, for each project you have to create separate virtual environment and you have to install its dependencies there, right? So in this way, this is the concept of virtual environment. In next video we are going to see how to create this virtual environment, and we are going to see how to install a particular package, module or framework in Python, right? So now we are going to see how to create virtual environment. So in previous video we have seen why we need virtual environment. So for that Now we are going to see how to create virtual environment. So in last session we have seen the dependencies of particular project, means modules, packages, framework, whatever you need for that project execution. So those are called dependencies. Now we are going to create virtual environment. So for example, this is my Python's project folder, and here I have one project, so that is P1 project. So for example, I am working on this project. So for this project I want to create virtual environment. So for that I have created one folder for my project. So I will open this folder. So now this folder is open. Now in this folder we are going to use VS Code, right? Editor we are going to use. So you can use your favorite editor, so whatever you need. So I will use here VS Code. So to shortcut to open VS Code, you have to open CMD here, and you have to give command code space dot, and it will open VS Code in that folder, right? So for example, this is my P1 project, and I want to create virtual environment for my this P1 project. So here terminal is there, so you have to open terminal. So now using this terminal we are going to create virtual environment, means in this terminal we are going to give command for creation of virtual environment. So now if I want to create, so for that you have to give command python -m venv, and I will give here p1n. So what is this Python? So to run Python on command line you have to use this Python command. So then -m, so this is hyphen, so that is minus sign -m. So whenever you want to use any Python module on command line, at that time you have to use this -m flag. Then when is the module, so which needed for creating virtual environment. And so this p1_n I have taken, so this is virtual environment name. So you can give any name, so I have given here p1_n. So now I will press enter. So now what happened here, so it has created one folder here. So this, whatever this virtual environment name we have given, right? So for this virtual environment it has created one folder here. So now in this folder if we check, it is having include library and scripts folder. So these are used for installation, so whatever your libraries are there, so those will go here, right? And see this, now we have just created only virtual environment. So our next step is we have to activate this virtual environment. So how to activate? For that we need to run this in scripts activate script we want to run. So how to run this? So first for this we have to go in this p1n folder cd. So whenever you want to do activation, at that time only you have to run these commands activate scripts activate, right? So you have to take one first character and press tab, automatically it will get completed, right? So now in this way you will get this scripts activate. So here it is showing in this green environment name, means whatever work you are doing, so that will be part of this virtual environment. So whatever installation you are going to do, so that will be part of this virtual environment now. So once you are done with this activation, you have to come out of this virtual environment folder. So remember that you are not going to write any code, any file you are not going to create in this virtual environment folder. So this folder is for installation only. So don't touch this folder, right? So now in this way our virtual environment is activated. So now I want to create here one Python file. So how to create? You have to click outside. So don't click here and create any file here. No, it is virtual environment folder. So keep it outside. So if you see this in blue, means this folder is selected. So we don't want to select this folder. We want to select this our project's root folder, that is P1. So I want to create one file here. So I will give here name of that file as test.py. So this is test.py. So now this file is created, right? So now I will write here simple code like import Django, and I want to print this version of Django. So Django is one web framework for web application development. So I am just checking version of this Django. So now you have to press Ctrl S, otherwise you have to activate the setting of auto save. So now how to run this file on the command line? You have to give here command python and then name of the file, that is you have to take only te, so and tab, so automatically it will take. So now if I run this file, I am getting here error. What error I am getting? Module not found, no module name Django. So why I am getting this error? So this is framework in Python. It doesn't come with Python installation. So we have to explicitly install it. So I have given here, right? So this P1 project is there, Django 2.2. So this we have to do installation. So how to install any module package or framework in Python? So for that you have to use this command pip install and name of module. So for example, name of module we are taking, right? So what happened? So here we haven't provided any version name. So by default it will install latest version available for that module, right? So now if I want to install particular version, so I will give here pip install name of module, and here you have to use double equality sign, and here you have to provide some number, that is version of that module. So for example here x1 dot x2 dot x3, right? So for example I want to install Django, pip install Django. So whenever you are giving name of that module, make sure it is correct, so otherwise it will not get installed. So 3.2.11. So this particular version I want to install now, that is 3.2.11. So what is this number is specifying? So x1 is specifying this is major version, right? So this 3 is means what is the major version of this framework? So that is 3. So then x2 is there. So what is x2? X2 is minor version. So it is minor version. Right? So that is minor version. So see, whatever this Django or these frameworks or packages are there, so their continuous development is going in that software organization. Because of that, versions are changing day by day. Right? So now, for example, I want to, so x3 is there. So what is this x3 is telling? Patch or bug fixing. Bug fixed means whatever this version is there, so that is major version is 3, minor version is 2, so 11 bugs are fixed, so that this number is specifying, right? So in this way you can install particular module. So if you are not specifying module name, so in general it is called module, right? Module name you are specifying, but actually for framework it will be framework, for packages it will be package, and for module it will be module. So what is this Django version you are installing? 3.2.11. So if I don't provide here version, so by default it will install latest version. So first we will see if I don't provide any version. So Python, so for that we have to use pip install Django. So make sure whenever you are running this command, your computer is connected to internet. So it is downloading Django and it is getting installed. So it takes some time because these are getting downloaded from internet and getting installed. So successfully installed this and Django 4.2.1. So why it has installed 4.2.1? Because the latest version available for Django is 4.2.1, right? So now if I run this program now again, so here history is there for your command, so you have to check that using arrow keys. So I am running this. Now earlier I got error, that is module not found, but now it is working. Why? Because we have installed this Django. So when I am doing installation, I haven't provided here any version. So because of that, whatever the latest version available 4.2.1, it has installed. So in this virtual environment also, so at a time only one version of uh, any package or module or framework can reside. So for example, if I try to install pip install Django, so here now I am installing particular 3.11.2 particular version of Django. So what happens, we will check. So this is not available. 3.2.11 we will take. So whenever you are installing, make sure that version is available, otherwise you will get error. So 3.11.2 was not available, so that's why we got error. So now what it is saying, found existing version Django 4.2.1 and it is uninstalling this 4.2.1. So at a time only one version of Django can be resided in virtual environment or in computer's environment also, right? So that's why we need virtual environment. In virtual environment also, at the time only one version of that module or package is residing, right? So now if I run this program again, so I am getting here 3.2.11. So earlier it was 4.2.1. Now it is 3.2.11, right? So in this way you can install particular version of uh, any package or module or framework, and if you are not providing version name, so by default it will install latest version, right? So in this way you can create virtual environment, so you can activate that virtual environment, and once you are done with your virtual environment you can deactivate it. So whenever you are done with your virtual environment you have to deactivate that, right? So in this way, for example, you have P2 project also, for that you can create in this way separate virtual environment. So now I will deactivate this, deactivate. So once I deactivate, it is not showing that virtual environment name. Why? Because I have done deactivation, right? So in this way you can create, activate, you can work and then deactivate, right? So in this way you can do this. So in next uh, session we are going to see how to create requirements.txt file, uh, and using that requirements.txt file, how can um, install how can you install dependencies of one project in other project, that we will see in next session. We are going to see the solution of error which you are getting while activating the virtual environment. So now first we will see the steps and what is the solution, that also I will show you. So now for example I have this Python projects folder. So in this folder I want to create virtual environment for one of my project. So I will first open here VS Code. So using shortcut code space dot. So once I have opened this, now I want to create one virtual environment here. So for that we know we have to use venv module in Python. So python -m venv, and name of the virtual environment, for example I am giving here progenv. So this is my virtual environment name. So now this virtual environment is folder is created. Now I want to activate this. Once we will get next prompt we will activate that. So for activation we need to go in scripts folder and we need to run this activate script. So now I will go in this folder cd progenv, and in this progenv we need to run this script. So script activate and press enter. Here you are going to get error. Here you are going to get error. Cannot be loaded because running scripts is disabled on this system. For security reason it is disabled. Now how to solve this error? So for that you have to open Windows PowerShell with admin privileges. So you have to go in start PowerShell. So here you have option run as administrator, you have to click on that. So you have to click on yes. So once you click on this, so this PowerShell is visible. And now, so I will try to increase its font. So I will increase its font. For example, 36 I have taken. So now here this Windows PowerShell is visible. So here you have to run some commands. So here I am writing those commands, you have to run those. So get hyphen execution policy, and whenever you are writing commands, make sure spelling is correct. Space hyphen list, right? So you have to write this get hyphen execution policy hyphen list. Press enter. So it will show you this scope execution policy. So it will show you one list. Now you want to set execution policy unrestricted. Set execution policy unrestricted. So by default it is restricted, so we are going to unrestrict it. So set execution policy unrestricted, right? So here it is asking for yes and no, so I will yes to all. So I will press Y only, that is yes, right? So now next you have to run. So once you click on yes, so next you have to run one more command, set hyphen execution policy unrestricted hyphen force, right? So with this execution policy will get unrestricted, right? So now you got this prompt, means all commands are executed successfully, right? So now I will run this script again. So now it is executing properly, right? So in this way you can solve this error. So now your virtual environment is activated. So in this way you can solve this error. So what is your error? Execution script is, so here is some errors, right? So in this way you can solve this error, right? So you will get this error when you will run this activate script. So at that time you have to first open Windows PowerShell with admin privileges and you have to run these commands, right? So in this way you can solve this error and you can activate this virtual environment. So in last session we have seen how to create virtual environment, how to activate that, how to work in that, and how to deactivate that. Now in this session we are going to see how to create requirements.txt file. So you can give any name of that file, but it should be requirements.txt because that file is used for deployment of project. So for that I will create here now new terminal. So now first we need to activate this virtual environment. For that we have to go in this virtual environment folder. So now I am running this activate script. So now your script is activated. So if you are getting error whenever you are activating this, the script is disabled, so such error you are getting, so you have to solve that error. For that also I have created one folder. So in description I will give link for that video, right? So now I have activated that virtual environment. Now I will come out of that folder now. So now I want to create requirements.txt. So what is requirements.txt? So there are some dependencies of your project, means whatever modules, packages or frameworks you are installing, so those are the dependencies and you want exact versions of those dependencies. So it is not like that manually you are creating files, so we need to automate that task. So for that we are going to use one command and requirements.txt file will get created. So what is the command for that? Pip freeze greater than symbol and requirements dot txt. So it is requirements dot. So requirements.txt file will get created. So if I press enter, so now automatically this requirements.txt file is getting created. So now if I click on this file, so I am getting all dependencies of my project. So Django we have installed, so that's version is mentioned here, and these remaining dependencies are there. So these are needed for this Django. So that's why those are also getting installed, right? So in this way you can create a requirements.txt file. So one more use of this requirements.txt file is there. So for example, you have another project which is having same dependencies like P1 project. So what you can do, you can use this requirements.txt file to do installation in that project also. So what I have told you, so whether you are working on single project or multiple project, so for each project you have to create separate virtual environment. So for P2 project, so you can install all the dependencies same like P1 dependencies, and if it is having another dependencies, those also you can install in P2's environment, right? So you can use one project's requirements.txt for installation in other projects. So that we will see in our next video, right? So in this way you can create this requirements.txt. So now I am done with this. I will deactivate this virtual environment, right? So we have seen here how to create requirements.txt file. In next video we will see how to use this requirements.txt of one project in another project for dependencies installation, right? Hi friends, so in last session we have seen how to create requirements.txt file, right? So now we are going to see how to use this requirements.txt file for installation of same dependencies of one project in other project. So for example, for P1 project I have this requirements.txt file. So now I will create here different projects folder. For that I am creating here new folder, that is P2. So that is my project folder, right? So now I want to install or whatever the dependencies of P1 are there, so those I want to install in P2. So for that what you have to do, you have to copy this P1 project file and you have to paste in your P2 project file, right? So remember, we haven't created virtual environment yet. So now how to create, the same process you have to follow, but here the difference is we are going to use requirements.txt file of our P1 project for installation. So we are going to see how to use this requirements.txt file for installation of same dependencies, and we can install our own dependencies, separate dependencies of P2, and how to update that requirements.txt, that also we will see. So now I will open here VS Code in this folder first, code space dot. So now for this P2 it is open, right? So now my P2 project, so I can work now in this folder for my P2 project. So here we haven't created virtual environment, so the same process we are going to follow. So new terminal we have to open and we have to create here virtual environment. So python -m venv. So I will give here p2env. So this is my P2 project environment and press enter. Right? Now it has created a folder for our P2 environment, right? And this is the requirements.txt of our P1 project. So using this P1 project's dependencies, now we are going to do installation, right? So now we can activate this virtual environment. So to activate this, first we need to go in this folder. So I have told in the previous some videos, cd, then we have to run a script, activate script. So now our virtual environment is activated. Now we have to come out of this folder. So now whatever work I am going to do, so that will be part of this virtual environment. So here in the same way I will create one test file, test.py. So now this is project 2, this is not project 1. So the project 1 is running here. For example, my project 1 is running here. So I have deactivated this virtual environment, only I am using its requirements.txt. Now I am working on P2 project. Okay. So now here also I want to do installation, but what I want all the requirements or dependencies in this project 1. So I want those in project 2 also. So how to use this requirements.txt for installation? We have to use pip install, you have to use -r flag and requirements.txt file, requirements.txt. So this is the exact name of this file, so requirements.txt, and you have to press enter. So make sure your computer is connected to internet. So it will take some time. So what it is doing, so it is installing same dependencies like p1 projects dependencies. So which command we have run here? Pip install -r requirements.txt. This pip install already you know. So using pip install we can do installation, but the only difference is, so we are going to do installation from this existing requirements.txt file, right? So our installation is done. So now here test.py file I have created. So now I will import here Django. Then I want to print its version. So Django dot version underscore. Now I will run this file python test.py. So now it is giving me 3.2.11. So this is same as our requirements.txt. So using this we have done installation in our this P2 project. So now I will install different dependencies. For example, for this project I need pandas also. So I will give here pip install pandas. So now it is downloading. So latest version of pandas is 2.0.2. So now we will see how to update this requirements.txt file for this new installation. So it is taking some time. So if you have observed here, so this will file is getting downloaded from PyPI. So that is Python package index. So that is the repository for all Python packages. So this will file will get downloaded, and from that will file your package or framework will get installed. Requirements already satisfied. Some dependencies are same, so that's why it is giving. So TZ is already there, so that's why it is giving. So for pandas working you need numpy. So that is the pandas dependency, that's why it is downloading numpy also. So the difference between previous P1 and this project P2 is there. So we have used P1's requirements.txt file, right? So this P1's requirements.txt file we have first copy and pasted in this P2 project folder, and we are doing so using that also we have done installation. So these are the dependencies. Now we are installing different dependencies which are specific to this P2 project. So that is we need pandas. So numpy is taking a lot of time to get installed. So it is just downloading NumPy, so then it will install. So now it is installing this NumPy, Python, Datutil and Pandas. It is taking a bit time. So what I will do, I will pause the video and I will resume it again. So now, here Pandas is successfully installed, right? So now here, so the requirements.txt, but this requirements.txt is not containing this Pandas version. So if I give here import Pandas, and in the same way if I try to find its version, so what output we are getting, we will check pandas __ version, right? So if I run this project for test.py, so I am getting, for Django I am getting 3.2.11 and for pandas I am getting 2.0.2. but if I check my requirements.txt, so here pandas is not mentioned because our file is not updated. So how to update this? So you have to run the same command, pip freeze greater than symbol and requirements dot txt. So it should be requirements dot txt and press enter. So now it is updating existing file. So what we got here, now we got here pandas, and pandas is also dependent on numpy, so that's why numpy is also visible, right? So in this way you can use other projects requirements.txt for your other project dependency installation, and you can update how to update that requirements.txt also, that we have seen. So now we are done with this, so we will deactivate this virtual environment, right? So in this way we have seen how to create virtual environment, how to activate that, how to create requirements.txt, how to use one project's requirements.txt in other project, right? So if you haven't watched previous two videos, please watch those videos so you will get clear understanding, right? So thanks for watching the video, and if you like content of my channel, please subscribe and press bell icon to get notification. Thanks for watching the video.